Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we are here to talk about the brand new Zodiac palette from BH Cosmetics. So if that's something you're interested in watching, you're in the right place. We're about to get into it.
I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf.
Alright guys, so we are here to talk about the brand new Zodiac palette from BH Cosmetics. Now, I will go ahead and just say up front, I have not always been the biggest fan of BH Cosmetics and their eyeshadow palettes. They have a problem with consistency as far as I'm concerned. There have been a couple of palettes that have been absolutely amazing. The Festival palette is one, and the Zodiac palette is the other. I've tried a lot of their palettes, and unfortunately, I've been let down more often than I've been really excited. So I just wish they would work out the consistency thing and make all of their palettes as good as the first Zodiac palette and the Festival palette. Those two palettes are amazing, absolutely Erica approved palettes. So when I heard that the Zodiac palette was getting a revamp and they were going to release another version of it, I was really excited, and I just kept my fingers crossed hoping that they didn't mess with the formula, because the first Zodiac palette was amazing. Speaking of which, let's take a look at that first Zodiac palette, because I do want to do a little bit of a comparison in this video, because a lot of you are going to have the first Zodiac palette, and I want you to make a decision as to whether or not, if you have the first one, do you need the second one? So we're going to go down that road a little bit today. Now, the first one was plain. It has this kind of rainbow holographic kind of lettering right here across the front. It was actually kind of cute. And then when you open it up, it's in this kind of a starburst pattern. So you have all of these mattes in the center, all of these metallic foils on the outside, and then you have this giant highlighter pan right in the dead center of the palette. So this is the old one. This is what the first Zodiac palette looked like. Now, the matte formulas in this palette are amazing, and these baked metallics, some of them are duochromes, some of them are just straight metallic shades. These guys are so pretty on the eyes, you guys. Some of the best metallics out there are in this palette. The highlighter is okay. It's a little too icy for my taste. If you have very fair skin, you would probably really like this one. If you guys want a refresher on an overall in-depth look at this particular palette, feel free to go and check out the Zodiac palette review that I have on this channel. Today, though, we're here to talk about Love Signs, which is the name of the next Zodiac palette. And it has that kind of theme. It's called the Love Signs Zodiac palette. It has this burgundy type of color, which I absolutely love and I think is gorgeous. It has all of these little hearts all around the artwork on the front. And the holographic coloring here is actually just like a really pretty gold, as opposed to that more rainbow holographic lettering that was on the other one. Now, it does have a full-size mirror in here where that really cute kind of design continues. You have all these cute little signs up here, and then you have this big mirror, and then the inside looks like this. So you have a starburst pattern just like the first Zodiac palette, and then you have this big heart here in the center. You have all of the mattes here and all of the duochromes / metallics around the perimeter. So this is what it looks like. Let's go ahead and take a close-up look of this one so you guys can really take a look in detail. So again, guys, this is the Zodiac Love Signs palette. You're looking at 24 eyeshadow and 1 highlighter palette. So BH Cosmetics, in their PR, or their press release for this particular palette, they say, embrace an enchanted look that's a match made in the stars with our Zodiac Love Signs 25 color eyeshadow and highlighter palette. A celestial spectrum of sun-kissed hues and cool cosmic shades, featuring 12 buttery mattes, 12 baked shimmers, and a luminous baked highlighter. These rich, vivid shades apply effortlessly to light up your features with a flush of radiant color. And that is the PR statement for the palette itself. Now, currently, this palette is retailing for $24 on the BH Cosmetics website. You can also get this palette at Ulta.com. So if you have any Ulta points, you can definitely use it towards the purchase of this particular palette. For 24 bucks for 24 eyeshadows, I think it is a fantastic deal, and you get a highlighter in there as well. Now, they are promising to have a really high pigment payoff. They're also promising that these shimmer and metallic shades are incredibly high shine. So we'll see if that's the case with this one, as it was the case with the first one. Now, this palette is also cruelty-free. It's also considered to be gluten as well. It is not vegan because there is going to be a carmine additive in this particular palette. So unfortunately, it's not vegan for those of you out there looking for a vegan palette. This one does include carmine. Now, let's take a look at these two palettes side by side. One of the things that I can tell you kind of right off the bat, just in the difference in using both of these palettes, is that the original one has these kind of dark, smoldering, smoky kind of shades, very rich tones, beautiful mattes, gorgeous shimmers. This palette was a home run. In the color difference over here, these look very kind of summery, beachy, sun-kissed kind of shades. It has that type of a vibe to it. It looks a lot lighter in overall color theory, and I do enjoy these pops of orange, yellow, and pink and blue. It's just a very, it seems to be a more colorful palette overall. A couple of things that I saw kind of right off the bat that I didn't like was there's a little repetitiveness with the brown shades in here. I would like to see these brown shades separated by tone a little bit more so that they didn't seem to be only off by a shade or two, but that was kind of first impression. As I got into using the palette and actually swatching the palette, playing with it, using eye looks with it, I really discovered that these browns aren't as similar as your first impression may lead you to think that they are. They are quite different in tone, and they actually complement the corresponding shimmer shade quite well. Now, you don't have to use these palettes like that. In other words, you don't have to use the corresponding baked shimmer with the matte. That's not necessarily the case. Obviously, you can just mix and match and play with this. However, number one, it is nice to see the layout, so it does give you some ideas when it comes to pairing, but it also is good for the eye as well. So it's more aesthetically pleasing when you actually look at this, and it doesn't seem like it's just a big jumbled confusion when it comes to a palette. I like for things to kind of be organized a little bit. It helps with the flow of creativity when you're working with a larger palette. So I like the way that these are laid out, and I like the way that they've paired them off. Another thing that I also noticed with this palette, as was the case with the initial Zodiac palette, is that for baked shadows, typically baked shadows can be a real pain in the butt. Oftentimes you kind of have to get through that first layer before you actually get inside that baked outer shell and get into the real quality product. However, that is absolutely not the case with these. They are so silky smooth and buttery to the touch. It is absolutely unbelievable. And these are just like the first palette. They are one swipe wonders. You really just have to barely touch them, and the payoff that you get from these shimmery shades is unbelievable. They're so gorgeous. Another thing that I really like about this particular palette is this highlight shade here in the middle. This is a stunning highlighter. This is a little more on the kind of golden side, champagne-y side when it comes to a highlighter, whereas the highlighter in the center of the first one is a little more icy, a little more for fair skin. This one is going to be a little more versatile and is a little bit more up my alley. So let's go ahead and get into the swatches. I'm actually going to swatch out this palette for you, but I do want to swatch out the initial Zodiac palette just so that you can kind of see the differences in the mattes and then in the shimmers. We're going to do the mattes from both palettes first, then we're going to do the outside shimmer from both palettes next. And again, I want you guys to be able to take a look and look at the differences in color and be able to make a decision on, if you own the first one, do you need the second one? So that's why we're including the first one in this set of swatches coming up. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the swatches. So we are going to swatch the matte colors first from the Zodiac palette, and we have Leo and then Cancer and then Gemini from the mattes. After that we have Taurus and Aries, and then we're rolling up to Pisces, Aquarius, and we have Capricorn next, which is that beautiful, beautiful blue, such a pretty color, and then Sagittarius. We have Scorpio next, and then we have Libra. I love that taupe, one of my favorites, and then Virgo. And these are the mattes and their corresponding zodiac sign. I think these are so opaque. The color is so rich, just like the original Zodiac palette, which we're actually going to take a look at as well, just so that we can see these mattes compared to the mattes from the original Zodiac palette. But the color richness here is stunning. The payoff is beautiful. On the eye, they even blend out gorgeous. I am really amazed at the quality of these mattes, just like I was with the original Zodiac palette. Now, this is the original Zodiac palette. So you notice here when you look at the two, the new one's on the top and the old on the bottom, there's many more purples in the original one and a lot more kind of browns and neutrals and those orange tones in the new one. So side by side, these are the mattes. Now these are the shimmers from the new one and their corresponding sign. They're all under the same zodiac sign that you heard from the mattes. Each zodiac sign has a matte and a shimmer, and here you can see the difference between the first and the second from a shimmer metallic perspective. So the metallics actually favor each other a lot, even though with the metallics from the new one have, you know, those bright pops of gold in them. Now I want to show you what a couple of the pairings look like. So when we pair up the zodiac signs with each other from the new palette, this is the Virgo pair. So this is the Virgo matte and the Virgo shimmer. I love what these pairs look like. I think some of them are complementary, like the Capricorn pairing. Obviously these two are incredibly complementary, but then you have ones that aren't necessarily ones that you would think you would automatically put together, but when you put them on the eye, they complement each other beautifully. For example, this taupe, the Libra taupe that I love, has this kind of bronzy shimmer that's paired with it, and it looks gorgeous on the eye. Now this is the Aquarius pairing. I love the metallic that is under the Aquarius sign. I think it's one of the most beautiful metallics in the palette. It's just very dark and very rich, and I love it. And this is one of the Pisces signs. So it's one of those where you wouldn't necessarily pair those two together, but they do complement each other beautifully actually on the eye. So here's just some of the pairs, and I love the way that this palette is paired up. I think it's gorgeous. I really do love the way that a lot of these pairs work together. Now there's a duochrome in here. Actually, there's a couple of them that have a little bit of a shift to them. But the duochrome, I think I'm going to show the duochrome next, just so that you can see how with this particular duochrome, they actually use the base of the matte, and this is Taurus. So the base of the matte is the base of the duochrome, and then they have like a red shift on top of it. So when you actually put these on the eye, they complement each other beautifully. I love that pairing. Scorpio is another pairing where it's like this matte white, and then it has this really pretty pink icy kind of color there as well. Gorgeous pairing there. And then of course you have the Gemini pairing, and the matte has this kind of pinky brown and then this fuchsia metallic, and it actually does look good on the eye. That one I was a little skeptical about, but it actually works out quite well. Now I do want you to take a look at this highlighter. It has this gorgeous kind of champagne shimmer to it that I think is just stunning, and it's absolutely beautiful on the skin. When you pull it out of focus, you can see the sparkle that is in this. Stunning. And if it catches the light just right when it's on your face, it looks gorgeous. It really does just kind of melt into the skin. Now this is the highlight from the original Zodiac palette, and it's a little more icy, whereas the new one is a little more subtle and a little more kind of champagne-y looking, and not quite as icy as the first initial Zodiac palette. But both of these are stunning highlighters, and you can tell the difference even in the pan. So a couple of standouts for me when it comes to swatches in this particular palette are the mattes. This teal color here is gorgeous. It's incredibly dense. It's very opaque. It's not one of those that you put on the lid and then it just kind of blends away. It stays very bright, very vibrant, and it looks gorgeous on the eye. I also really like this fuchsia. There is also this purpley taupe kind of color right here that is just gorgeous. These mattes, this is such a good formula that they have in these two palettes. I don't understand why they can't just do, like, I would pay money for an entire palette of just these mattes in this particular formula. They really are gorgeous. These baked metallics are stunning as well. A couple of standouts with these is Capricorn. This teal here is gorgeous. There is a shift with this particular one here, Taurus. It has like a brown base with a red kind of shift to it. This is a beautiful duochrome. I absolutely love this particular shade. This gold here is so bright and so yellow. That's actually one of the ones that I have on my lid tonight. Now I've had this on for about 10 hours today, so this is like slowly fading away, but I do have this on my eyes tonight. I used this palette to create this look. As a matter of fact, while we're talking about application, let's go ahead and take a look at application. I did film this particular look when I put it on this morning, so I want you guys to go ahead and take a look at that and see the blendability of these shadows. Look at the pigment, see how easy they are to work with. They really are beautiful formula. Alright guys, so I get started with Scorpio, which is that white matte color. I put it right underneath the brow bone, and I was actually a little shocked at how well this shows up. It is so bright, and it really doesn't take a lot, but it is gorgeous underneath the brow bone. I love the way that this looks as like a highlight just underneath the brow bone. Then we're going to go in with a little bit of Leo just to put down some color in the transition space of the lid. One thing I will tell you about these mattes when you're working with them is don't use a lot. It really just takes a little bit to get a really pretty payoff. Now we're going to go in with Gemini and just kind of start deepening that crease up a little bit. And Gemini is a beautiful color to do that with. It blends really, really well. And then I just go over it a little bit with Leo again, just to get everything kind of melded together. But these do blend out beautifully. This is a really good set for a beginner or somebody that doesn't want to do like a ton of work. If you just want something that's going to blend out pretty flawlessly and effortlessly, and that way you'll be ready to kind of walk out the door pretty quickly, this would be a great palette for you. We're going to deepen the crease up even more with Taurus, and this is just going to really kind of darken that up even more and give us a nice gradient, so we have the color fading towards the brow. So this is just again going to add some additional dimension to the lid. And then we're going to buff out the edges here with just a clean, fluffy blending brush. And then we're going to go in here again with Taurus and just deepen that crease up. And again, it just helps to give the eye a little bit of a better gradient and give that fade a little more of an effect. So we're just going to prime really quickly on the lid with some primer, which I always have to do with my shimmer shades because I do have textured eyelids with lots of fine lines and wrinkles and some crepiness. So I can use all the help I can get when it comes to my actual lids. So, all right, now we're going to go in here with the very bright and beautiful Leo. I love this color. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's one of those where at first you would think this isn't going to work, but because we used Leo up in the transition as part of the gradient, was one of the colors that we kind of blended out there, the corresponding Leo color will pick up those undertones and it ends up looking good in the end. I really, really liked the way that this whole thing ended up looking. We go a little lighter with putting Virgo on the inner quarter of the lid and allowing Virgo to kind of blend into Leo, so you have a little bit of a light to dark kind of gradient happening with the actual shimmer shades. And then I take Taurus and kind of go over back and forth here. Eventually I do go into Sagittarius, which is just a little bit darker than anything else in the palette. It's the darkest color, the Sagittarius color. It's like this dark black brown. It's not really a pitch black. It's more like a deep brown with, I don't know, sometimes when I look at it, it looks like it might even have like a really, really, really deep purplish tone to it. But I used that to really just add some darkness to the outer V, just to pull some attention to the outer V and kind of elongate the whole look. And then I just go back in with the Leo color that we used for transition, just to blend out any harsh edges. And then underneath the lash line, I go in with Taurus and just put it underneath the lash line right up against my lower lashes. And then I will take a small buffing brush and just tap it into Leo and use that to buff out the lower lash line. And that'll make it kind of nice and smoky a little bit there. Again, they blend beautifully. They really do. And they look so pretty. Out in daylight, this color looks quite stunning. We are going to put some of the highlight into our inner corner here. I love the way this highlight looks on the inner corner. I think it just opens up your whole eye area. And overall, I like it. Let's do some lashes and liner and finish off this look. So this is what we're looking at. I think it's definitely very fall. I love the colors. And yeah, overall, really satisfied. I love the way these metallics and mattes complement each other. So again, perfect shadows to work with on the eyes. I think this is a very beginner friendly palette, and I normally wouldn't say that with a palette that has these kind of bright, bold colors in it, because sometimes those shades are a little more difficult to work with. They can be a little patchy because the formulation is a little hard to get down when it comes to some of those really bright shades, but the formulation in this palette is amazing. They really do blend themselves. They look stunning on the eyes. So this is a great, colorful, beginner-friendly palette. There's not a lot of colorful, beginner-friendly palettes out there. This I would definitely put into that category. I don't want to kind of ignore that highlight either, you guys. This highlight, I have it on today. It is still there, but it is a little... it's, you know, it needs a little love because it hasn't been touched up all day. But this is a gorgeous highlighter. It is so pretty. And it's not one of those where, you know, it's not going to make your cheek look wet or anything. It is, well, I mean, you can probably build it up to do that. But it is just this really beautiful melt into your skin kind of glow that looks really natural. I still have a little bit here. I still have some here. Oh, it looks good over here. It hasn't worn off over here. So yeah, I mean, overall, it's a beautiful highlight. And this one is a beautiful highlight too from the old palette. It's just, see how white and icy that is? It's just, I think it's just a little too white. Now that one is great for the inner corner, but I think that this one is just much more conducive, I think, to many more people out there. And if your skin tone is not a skin tone that can pull off a highlighter like this, this is going to be gorgeous for an inner corner highlight, which is what I used the other one for in the Zodiac palette. I actually have this on as an inner corner highlight with this particular look. I used the highlighter here in the center. So overall, you guys, for the money, you just can't beat it. This is a gorgeous palette. They did another fantastic job on this one. I personally think that if you own the first one, that you will absolutely love the second one. I do feel like the colors are different enough that you would enjoy the second one and having some additional color options. Now, I have noticed that when I have both of these out, I have mixed and matched them quite often because there are a lot of colors that are very complementary from one palette to the next. For example, there is a pink matte that is in here that pairs really well with this pink shimmer. There are a lot of cross kind of complementary colors in these two as well. There's quite a few of them that transfer from palette to palette like that. So I think that these work really good as a set too. So, you know, it's definitely up to you if you have the first one, if you want to get the second one. But I would say that they work beautifully as a pair. Then again, this one works beautifully on its own. Another thing that I will say is that if you don't have either one of these and you're looking to make a choice about which one to go with, I would say that it's definitely going to depend on what you want it for. If you want it to use for those really pretty metallic looks for those nights out at the club, and you're looking for a lot of color and pop and more dramatic looks, you might actually like the first one a little bit more. If you're looking for something that has the ability to go dramatic, but also includes a lot of just those neutral pretty shades that you can wear on the everyday, then definitely go with the new one, with the Zodiac Love Signs palette. I think you'll have some better options in here when it comes to just everyday beautiful neutral eyes like what I have on my eyes tonight. So overall, you guys, this one is absolutely Erica approved. It's a gorgeous palette. I was so afraid that they weren't going to be able to do it again, but they did, and they actually did it quite well. So kudos to BH Cosmetics. I think this one is a home run. I'm glad I have it in my collection. It is stunning. Alright guys, well that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for coming by and chit-chatting with me about this particular palette. Don't forget, we are in the middle of our Christmas extravaganza. We have a lot of Christmas gifts that are going out every week in the month of December. This week, we are all in for a winning Sephora favorites bag, and it's the Skin Wonderland set from Sephora. It looks like this. This is the set itself, so stay tuned. Be here on Monday. We are going to do a live stream at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on my channel to announce the winner, and then we'll have another prize next week, and we'll be doing that all month long for our Christmas extravaganza. The only thing that you have to do in order to be in for all of these gifts that we'll be giving away between now and the end of this month is to be a subscriber. That's it. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you give me a thumbs up because it really helps me out a lot when you do. And as always, I hope all of you guys are very happy and are very healthy. And I will see you guys in the next video.